Okay, so I'm mad rusty at this, but we're going to give it a go. My name is Fiona if you're new here, and welcome to my enormous vintage MAC makeup haul. This is about 6 different orders. Some of them are for individual items and others then are job lots. Some of these items were up for sale for about a minute and I managed to grab them. Sometimes that happens on Vinted. If it's a really good deal, things will just get snapped up extremely quickly. So one of the most exciting items is this limited edition, now discontinued, mineralized skin finish. This is from a collection from, I believe, 2013. I remember it coming out and I remember I couldn't afford any of the shades. And this is called Semi-Precious Pearl. So if you look here, it's got this marbled center and then your standard sort of mineralized skin finish around the outer rim. I'm going to swatch this for you and I'm going to do a mixture of the center and the outer rim. So this is going to be a really beautiful blush topper or pearlized highlight. The next item I got is actually also a mineralized skin finish, and I'd never heard of this one. I couldn't find what collection it was from. It seems to be really old. I'm estimating maybe 2015, 2016 based on the style of the packaging. And this is called Warm Rose Mineralized Skin Finish. Now this to me looks a hell of a lot more like the mineralized skin finish naturals. Like you can hardly even see that on my hand. And to be honest, I got this because it was basically a cool toned powder that I could use to set my makeup. I have already tried this out. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it. It is somewhat reminiscent of the mineralized skin finish natural powders, but it's also slightly more sparkly. So I'm a little bit on the fence, but I'm glad to have it in my collection as a limited edition skin finish. The next item I got is actually a classic lipstick in the original packaging, but completely unused. This is Twig lipstick and it is a satin finished and it's a really stunning pink color. I'm just going to swatch it here next to the mineralized skin finishes. It's extremely similar to Brave. I would say you wouldn't need both shades, but for someone like me who likes to collect MAC lipsticks, particularly vintage ones, this was really nice for me to get. The next thing was a bundle, and this was from the seller I bought the most items from. And once I saw these up for £5 for 3 MAC lip liners, I knew I had to get them. I got the lip liners in Vino, Currant and Night Moth, and I will swatch each one for you. So Vino is like this really dark purple. So that would go with maybe something like Cyber lipstick, I reckon. It's even more purple than I expected. Then this one is Currant. This feels a little stiffer actually, Currant. Again, a really purpley shade, slightly darker than Vino, I would say, and slightly more red-based. They are very close though, so I wouldn't say that you need both of them. Finally, Night Moth. This is the darkest of the 3. This is your deepest, darkest purple. Really, really beautiful shades, and I thought they would be absolutely perfect for autumn and winter with all of my dark lipsticks like Diva, etc. Then the next item I got was like a bundle of blushes. Now the first one, there's actually no sticker on the back, although I do know it's like a legit MAC item, I can just tell from the packaging. So this is what it looks like on the outside, this really beautiful marbled packaging. If anyone knows what collection this is from, please do let me know. And then inside you have what looks like 3 or 4 highlights, and I'm not sure if this is a blush or a highlight. 3 blushes maybe? So we can do some swatches, but I don't actually know what the shades are called because, as I say, there's no sticker on the back. I think this was a sample, although I can feel that there was some sort of sticker on the back. Just from the items that the seller had listed, I got the impression that she had been a makeup artist at MAC and was just clearing out her kit of things that she wasn't using anymore. I don't think that any of these highlights are going to be particularly amazing on me, maybe this one, but I do really like the look of the blushes. I was really buying it more for the other palette, but I'll show you that in a second. So this is this kind of pale gold highlight. Ooh, that is not a lot of pigment. Let me try that again. Don't know if that's just because it's a little old. It's coming out on my finger, okay. Yeah, that's not a whole lot of bang for your buck there. I'm glad I didn't pay loads of money for this. Let's try the next one, which is sort of a deeper yellowy gold color. Again, it's swatching okay on my finger. Okay, yeah, there's a bit more pigment in that one, but I can't think what on earth I would use it for. It's definitely not going to be a highlight for me, and I don't wear yellow blush. Then the third color along, which is obviously intended for deeper skin tones, really beautiful texture actually, but probably not a color I'm going to use for anything. Then going down to the bottom row, these all look a bit warmer and a bit pinker, so that might be a bit more promising for me. A little bit on the sheer side, especially, I don't know how that's going to be picked up on a brush. Let's try the center one. This is a little bit warmer, but still pink toned. It's actually quite similar to this one, even though they look pretty different in the pan, I would say. What a confusing palette. Okay, the very last color, I'm hoping this saves it, is this like pinky shade. Okay, now that I can actually see myself using. It looks a bit like a Dolce Pink, I would say, from Milani. Now again, I wasn't really buying the bundle for this palette, so if it's not that usable for me, I might just pass it on to a friend who has a darker skin tone than mine, maybe someone in the more kind of medium category. On to why I actually bought this bundle, because this is a really beautiful palette. However, there was a bit of a surprise when I opened it. Two of the blushes had completely smashed. The packaging was inadequate to say the least. It had basically come with the two palettes wrapped together in some tissue paper in a plastic bag, and that was it. There was no bubble wrap, nothing like that, so that was quite disappointing. So this is after a big cleanup, after the two smash shadows were emptied out, and this is what I have remaining. So okay, let me show you what we've got in here. This is the color Copper Tone. Again, I didn't know what was coming in these palettes until I actually got it. This one used to be Fleur Power. This was Shadester. Now, I'll be honest, this is not a color I ever would have used anyway. I believe this is one of their sculpting powders anyway for the face. This is an eyeshadow called Incinerated that I had never really heard of. Then down here we have Melba, which is like a kind of matte peach color. I'm interested in that one. I've never had Melba before. Then, for those of you that have looked closely at this palette, this and this are exactly the same. And this is Fleur Power Undamaged. And finally, Desert Rose, another color that I've never had before. Okay, so I've got some clean fingers and clean arm now. So let's try this again. I mean, Copper Tone isn't really going to be useful for me, but it might help some of you guys. I believe now this is Discontinued, but they might have brought it out in the new formula. I'm not sure. It's way too dark and way too orange for me. We will swatch it nonetheless. So that is Copper Tone. Next to that, I am going to swatch Melba, which is the matte peachy shade that I was interested in. You see that I might be able to make work for me. Then we've got Fleur Power. I should have mentioned actually that I already own Fleur Power. I have it in pan form as well, so now I have two of them. I don't reach for it a whole lot, but there's no harm in having another one. And Desert Rose is probably the most useful for me here, and that's what it looks like. Oh, I'll swatch that a little harder. That wasn't my pinky finger. Yeah, there's Desert Rose. I will also swatch Shadester, even though it's, you know, pretty broken. So Shadester is over here. Definitely way too dark and way too orange for me. The last thing I'm going to swatch is this eyeshadow in Incinerated. This is a really soft formula and it's actually really gorgeous. Wow. I have a lot of colors like this, but it's still nice. So I think it might have been like a Dazzle shadow or something. Let's see if it says underneath. Yeah. Dazzle Shadow Extreme. So it's my first one of those. Okay. So that's the kind of semi-disaster palette. I'll probably only use one or two shades in there. But again, I spent like such a small amount on it that I'm not too bothered. It was so inexpensive that I don't mind. Now for this bad boy, this was like a mystery box almost. This bundle was up for like probably a minute or so and then I grabbed it. So first thing in here is the Studio Fix Perfecting Powder in medium. And this is probably going to be too dark for me, I would imagine. Oh yeah, definitely. But I can pass that along to a friend. Has anyone ever used this? I don't really know anything about it. I would be interested to know. Next thing in here is like a little duo palette. I have already checked this one. There's only one eyeshadow in here and it's in the shade Embark. Now I think I already own Embark, but again, I quite like the little duo palette, so I'll probably use that. I now need to have a look at what else is in here. So there's only one eyeshadow in this duo and it's the shade Brulee. I've actually never owned Brulee, so it's actually quite nice to have it. It might be a tad yellow for me, but I won't really know until I try it. It could be good for kind of neutralizing any purple tones under my eyes, so there's a good use for that kind of a shadow. Finally, the last duo contains Wedge, which I do already have, but it broke, so I'm quite happy to have a new one. There's not much of mine left. And Orb, which is a shade I've never had, so I'm quite excited to try those two out. Sticking with the eyeshadow theme, the next one is absolutely breathtaking. It's called A Natural Flirt, and it's an extra dimension eyeshadow. So it's got this beautiful pinky gold reflect. Now I will swatch this one because unlike all the pale shades, it will actually show up. Ooh. The next one here, ooh, I like the packaging. It's like this clear packaging. This is called Bougie Babe, and this looks extremely warm, like a brick color. I'll swatch that as well. Oh wow, the formula is absolutely gorgeous. It just says eyeshadow. It doesn't say what the finish is, but it's extremely smooth. Great now as like a warm transition shade for the crease. The next one I've got here is Devoted Chili, which is a Powder Kiss soft matte eyeshadow. This looks quite similar to the last one, but maybe a bit more red. Feels extremely velvety. Oh wow, yeah, that's like a solid red color. Absolutely beautiful. I really like that. Very warm. Then we also have, this is clearly from a limited edition collection. So the packaging has got a shiny finish rather than a satin. It's called Starry Starry Night Extra Dimension Eyeshadow. I believe this was part of a Christmas collection. I will swatch it. It looks like maybe something similar to Satin Taupe, but more sparkly. And that's it there. That's lovely. Really, really nice one and done kind of shadow. Then we've got another shade from the same collection, it looks like. It's got the same print, and this is called Sweet Heat. Now, I remember seeing Sweet Heat listed, but without this sort of lovely print. I've seen it before on Vinted. So clearly it was a shade in the permanent collection that was also released in this limited edition format as part of a Christmas collection. So probably looking a bit more like Sable, but more sparkly. Think we've just got two more eyeshadows left. So this one here is called Ripened, and it's another Powder Kiss eyeshadow. I've never had any Powder Kiss eyeshadows, so it's quite a treat for me. This looks like a really sort of nice pale plum pinky color. Oh yeah, I definitely don't have anything like that, so that's pretty cool. The very last eyeshadow is a foiled shadow in White Hot, and this is actually a sample on the back. So again, I do believe it to be real, but it's in this sample form. So it's got this cool texture, like if you can see that. So let's swatch that. Now this is a much lighter shade, but that is quite nice. It wouldn't be a color I would wear every day, but it's very like natural. Again, it's got limited edition packaging. It's kind of like a splash, but then it's got sort of like beautiful orange shine or like kind of a bronzy color. So that's gorgeous. I have no idea what collection that's from. Could anyone enlighten me? I was wrong, there's one more eyeshadow, but it's a liquid one. So this is a Dazzle shadow in liquid form in the shade Beam Time. And it's got like this sparkly lid and everything. Like, this is so cute. My first ever Dazzle shadow. I'll swatch that next to the last shade. Ooh, definitely not dried out. Anyway, wow, look at that. That's incredible. I really, really like that. Whew, that's going to be an amazing base, or even just a color on its own when I'm feeling lazy. That is gorgeous. Okay, so we have a blot powder. I've never owned a blot powder from MAC. This is also in the shade medium. Okay, so probably not my color, although it looks crazy light. So maybe I should swatch this and just see like what color does it actually come out. I thought blot powders were kind of translucent anyway. Now I'm not expecting this to work for me, but look, you never know. Stranger things have happened. Let's swatch this on my extremely fair skin. Can hardly even see that. So I don't get oily. I have very, very dry skin if you've watched me before, but I think that could work potentially. I'm kind of undecided about this one. We have one more powder product, and it is a matte powder blush in the shade, dun, 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 we've already got it, Desert Rose. Now, this is probably the most wearable shade for me out of all the blushes that I got, apart from Fleur Power, which I already had. So I don't mind having the pot version of it as well, because then it's travel friendly. 3 more things still in this box. This is crazy. I'm gonna go for the lipstick. This must have been, again, from a collection because it's in this shiny black packaging. It's completely black. It normally has the silver ring here. This is called Fireballer and it's a matte lipstick. So it looks like this, just like a classic red, I guess. Let's swatch this up here. Looking very similar to like maybe Ruby Woo. It's got very much a blue undertone there. So really nice shade. And I love having something in limited edition packaging. I can't wait to Google like what collection that was from. It looks awesome. And then we have 2 more lip products. So the first one is a retro matte liquid lip color. Now I did not like the retro matte lipsticks. So I'm a bit about this. I don't know what it's going to be like. I found the retro matte formula extremely drying. Maybe the liquid formula is better. And the shade is called Back in Vogue. And it looks like this really beautiful pinky color. Let's swatch that above Fireballer. I could definitely see myself wearing that. I don't know how it's going to dry down, so we'll figure it out. And I can't wait to try it on my lips and see, is it a comfortable wear? That could be an amazing everyday color if it works out. Then finally, the very last thing. This is called Crushing It Versicolor Varnish Cream Lip Stain. Again, another product. I haven't got a clue when this came out or what collection it was from, but I'm just going to swatch this up here and it's a cream lip stain. Whoa. Can I just say off the bat, it looks way too like vivid and corally for me, but I would definitely wear the other 2 and probably all of the shadows. So I think this was overall a pretty good bundle, I have to say. And that is it. That is my enormous MAC Cosmetics haul. Please tell me in the comments, what was your favorite item? Did you ever own any of these? What do you think of them? Do you recognize any of the collections? And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.